This is the Superpowered Mind podcast for inquiring individuals who are tired of the struggle for peace, happiness, and clarity. I'm Claire Diamond, ready to help you explore the principles of the mind, the self, and reality to unlock ultimate mental freedom. This podcast is the one to listen to if you're ready to experience the capabilities of the superpowered mind. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our April podcast. This is really an introduction to our May program, which is all about intelligence and problem solving. And we're doing a deal in May where if you come to the program with 1 or 100 problems, and if through the program your problems haven't either disappeared completely, turned into a path forward, it turned into a series of steps in which to solve them, or even become aspects of your life that you appreciate the most, then we'll give you your money back. That's the deal. So today is an introduction to what we're going to be looking at in May, which is all about intelligence, the intelligence of the mind, how it is liberated, and how it comes into its bliss, really, its full potential as the most miraculous, capable, able organ on the entire planet. So the first thing to say is that the whole exploration of reality, all of spirituality, really, all of that look at what we really are, what reality really is, all of it has as the certain outcome that the mind comes more into alignment with what's true. In other words, the mind becomes more and more grounded in actual reality and less preoccupied in its confusion of creating and projecting an apparent reality that is built entirely from fear, need, shame, insecurity, lack, and then using all its energy, all its resources, all its expertise in fighting that projection. And that's exhausting for the mind when it does that. It's exhausting for the body. It feels awful because there is a complete misalignment within the whole system. Everything is in incoherence. All the resources of the body are being used to fuel an imaginary war that just gets more and more violent and disruptive the more resources are put into it. And so everything that we do in our programs, everything is looking at how does the mind come back into reality? How does that battle with its own creations end? How is it really liberated as the phenomenal power it really is to take on greater leaps of imagination, greater projects of creativity, more and more challenging problems from the understanding of what's really going on, which actually is the understanding of what's real and what's not. So the whole of May and everything else that we ever do is looking at how the intelligence of mind is really unlocked. How does the mind become sane? And that really is, how does the mind, which is the experience of being us, how does that align to the truth of being? So how does that conviction, and an insane conviction, totally confused conviction that there is a separate entity that is in charge of everything that can somehow one day be secured, how does that experience of being end and instead be replaced by the truth of being, which is that what I am is infinite intelligence. I am infinite consciousness, infinite life, aliveness. And there is a limited form of body through which the world is being explored and which is through the sanity of mind, continually being brought back to truth. So that's our starting point. That's the question that we're always looking at. And when it comes to problem solving, what we're going to be exploring in May is that there are always two types of problems. All problems, every single issue, challenge we ever face can be put in one of two different classes, two different buckets of problems. There is one bucket which is identity problems, problems that relate to securing the sense of being a separate entity. An enormous array of those problems. They relate to controlling the emotional experience, controlling what we think other people think of us, controlling our behavior because that looks like an extension of the identity. And all of these problems are relating to this experience of being me as an unquestioned, independent entity. How can that be secured? How can wholeness, peace, bliss, infinite potential be found via this experience of being separate? How can I make this experience of being separate so robust in its separation that I feel whole, basically? And already we can start to see the impossible nature of that challenge. How reinforcing separation is only ever going to increase the feeling of being separate. It does nothing for the sense of wholeness. And so we can start to see how all resources put into solving those problems make the problems worse, without exception. And this is really the proposition that we're inviting everyone to test in May. Come to us with your problems, and we will really see, we'll see where effort, resources, time, attention, money, expertise put into certain problems just make the problem worse. It's so great to see this. It starts to become so simple. Life becomes so easy once this is understood. So there's this bucket of identity problems, securing that sense of being separate, which is completely unachievable. Not just unachievable, but anything done towards solving these problems make them worse. They exacerbate the problem. Then there is a world of problems that relate to the relative world of form. So this world that we're not going to deny through spirituality, this world of money and rents and mortgages and bills, this world of relationships, requests on us, conflicts, disagreements, this world of work and projects and what we're being tasked with, what we want to do, this world of countries and travel, exploration, this world of health, the body, of illnesses, diseases, of fitness, of habits, behaviors. This is a world of form, and it is a world of information. And what we are saying here is that all problems in this world can be solved. And that is a big claim. That is a really big claim. And we look at it from the perspective of what is actually really wanted here in this problem. What is the actual issue? What would solving this problem enable? And if that takes us towards a want that is based in the world of form, then we're going to act on it. And in acting on it, it will provide more information, more learning. It will open up doors to worlds that previously the mind didn't even know existed, weren't even visible to the mind before. But following this train of achievable wants, the mind starts to expand in its capabilities, expand in its knowledge, in its skills, And through that process, all problems can be solved. Now, where it gets really interesting for us is where the problems that relate to the world of form and that have no mention of the identity at all. So, for example, I want to earn an extra £1,000 a month. I want to have a relationship. I want to find a romantic partner. I want to lose 5 kilos. These sorts of wants are all excellent problems to look at. And really, I think what we're also doing here is diffusing the word problem, because problems are great. Problems are amazing for the mind to get to grips with. I do a lot of climbing with my son, and in bouldering, each route is called a problem. So it's just like a room full of problems. Off you go. And wonderful. So problems are great. We're not shying away from that word at all. We're going right into them, and we're seeing. So these are problems. How do I lose 5 kilos? How do I earn an extra £1,000? How do I find a romantic partner? These on the surface are highly achievable. So we go after them. Along the way, any sign of stress is going to show where there are identity wants tangled up in these unachievable wants. So, for example, I might have a plan to earn £1,000 extra a month, and I'm going to do that by asking my boss if I could take on an extra project. So the problem I'm taking on might be to earn an extra £1,000 a month. And it might be by a plan to expand my business into an extra in a different area. What might happen as I start having conversations with people about that extra area is it feels stressful. It feels like they think that I'm failing at my job. They might think that it's ridiculous that I'm moving into this area. I might worry that they think that I'm not as successful as I like them to think I am. All of this is unachievable identity wants that are tangled up in these form wants, and they sabotage it. They mean that it's might be literally impossible for me to have these conversations with prospective new clients. Because really the underlying want is for people to think well of me, is for me to secure my experience of being through what I'm imagining other people are thinking of me. And similarly, if my want is to lose 5 kilos, and I have my plan, I'm going to eat less, I'm going to go out running, I'm going to go to the gym. But it's really hard for me to go out running because when I do that, I feel so overweight and cumbersome, and I'm worried what people are thinking of me, and I'm feeling so ashamed of myself. Or same in the gym, I'm worried people are looking at me, what they're thinking of me. So the desire to lose weight is tangled up in a desperate need to feel good about myself, to feel that I'm not being looked at in a bad way. My experience of being isn't challenged through what other people are thinking of me or what I'm thinking a bit about myself. And so we can see that the two types of problems are tangled up, and the identity wants are sabotaging the form wants. This is how it works. Everything can be looked at from this perspective every time. And as a result, the mind starts to automatically distinguish between the two. Is this identity? Is this a form want? If it's an identity want, right from the outset, we can know either it's unachievable or we might get it temporarily, but there's no closure to it. So, for example, if I'm wanting a romantic partner and I start to date someone and I want them to make me feel special, I want them to say all the right things, do all the right things so that I really feel like a princess. I feel like I'm really loved. I'm getting all the right attention. But really, in that, my partner he's just a device. He might as well be an AI boyfriend, just saying the right things. He's just a prop in this quest for me to secure this identity of separation. That's all that's going on. And he is actually irrelevant. As long as he's saying the right things, who cares? So we can see that it might be a temporary boost. There might be a moment where he says, "Oh, you're so wonderful, Claire." And there we go. I feel so great. But it's a drug high. It's not the completion of anything. It's not me earning £1,000 towards my mortgage. It's not me doing a marathon or making a nice meal for my kids or even going on a nice date with someone. It's not that. It's a temporary boost to an insecure identity that is only going to need more of the same, because that drug high is so addictive. It looks like through enough of this, I'm going to feel whole. I'm going to feel special. I'll feel okay. My experience of being will stabilize. And so these identity wants, these problems of identity are just exacerbated. They're fueled by getting what we want. They're not solved. They're not completed. There's no end to them. There's no information in them even, because it's not about the world. It's not about that person. It's not about the body. It's not about health. It's not about work. It's just about this imaginary entity that will drag in all of the resources in its attempt to stabilize itself. And it can never be done. So I think this is really a groundbreaking approach to how the mind can understand itself, its own power, and the world in which it's operating, and the truth of its being, its infinite, absolute wholeness, without denying this world in which we appear, without denying the fact that there are problems to be solved, there are challenges, there is behavior that creates issues. And this really does liberate these incredible minds to simultaneously understand themselves and immerse more deeply into the world to solve any problem that comes its way. So I invite you to our online course in May with its guaranteed refund to test this out. This is only a little taster of all the things that we're going to look at. We'll look at every single type of problem. It will be a lot of fun, and for sure, we are going to go very deep into what is real and what can be solved. And that is absolute mental liberation. So see you there, I hope. Bye. Thank you for listening to Superpowered Mind with me, Claire Diamond. If you want extra support in the exploration of your mind, download our exclusive subliminal recording, especially for podcast listeners, on bit.ly/podcast subliminal.